In keeping with the theme of the transfer portal and recruiting, we now need to turn our attention to Austin, Texas, where the Texas Longhorns got a big win out the transfer portal for former Minnesota defensive tackle Trill Carter, something we have got to break down. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill, I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited that the Longhorns landed Carter? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions seem small, but they are massive to content creators such as myself. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And one thing I've been talking about whenever we talk about the Texas Longhorns is I am so intrigued about what their defense is going to look like. Look, let's be very transparent here. Whenever your head coach is Steve Sarkisian and we know what he does on the offensive side of the football, I'm inclined to believe your offense is going to come together, especially when we look at the weapons on that side of the football. I know you lose Bijan Robinson, and I always talk about it, that there are some guys that you need to be aware when they have the ball in their hands, and then there are other guys you need to be aware the second they step on a football field. You need to know where they are at all times, and Bijan Robinson is in the latter of those categories. The second he gets put on the football field, he can start being utilized as a chess piece, and he gives defenses fits. But even when you lose Bijan Robinson, you've got very talented running backs in that room. Blue, Brooks, Savion Red had himself a day during that Texas spring game, and we're not even throwing in the five-star Cedric Baxter Jr., who's got a very bright future in front of him, plus an offensive line that you have got a lot of faith in, coached none other than by Kyle Flood. So whenever we look at the offense for Texas, whether we're talking about the wide receivers, the quarterbacks, which, by the way, Quinn and Malik Murphy had a great spring game, and if you're a Texas fan, seeing Malik Murphy progress the way he did is a great thing for you, and I know you have got to be over the moon about that. Having a strong backup quarterback, not only to push your starter, but just in case something happens, that's key in football. And seeing Malik Murphy make that progression, that was awesome to see. But you get the point I'm trying to create here. No matter where we look on Texas's offense, there's key talking points we can get to, really interesting conversations. And because of that, I'm inclined to believe that the offense is going to be just fine. And that's not to say that I think the defense isn't. It's just I am super intrigued in the defense because of some of the pieces. First and foremost, your defensive coordinator is PK, someone who I find very interesting. Secondly, whenever we look at some of the additions you got, such as an Anthony Hill, one thing we talked about yesterday on the live stream whenever Nino of Nino's Sports Corner joined us, fantastic content creator. I'm sure if you're a Texas fan and you're here, you most definitely know who he is, but in the event that you don't, do me a favor after this, go check out Nino's Sports Corner, subscribe. He's got you covered for all of your Texas content. So too does Fanatic Perspective, Texas Homer. Those guys do a phenomenal job. We were talking about this last night, and Anthony Hill was an individual who, when I watched that spring game for Texas, it really emphasized why I'm so intrigued and excited to see what Texas's defense could do, because Anthony Hill was being moved everywhere, and he was playing at a high level. I know it's a spring game. That guy's college ready now. But let's really focus in, and let's talk about Trill Carter and what this addition means for the Texas defense. And while you have some guys you're excited about, we know that the defensive line is a position that has a lot of rotation. And if you can keep fresh legs in there, legs that the opposing offense has to respect, you're only increasing your likelihood of having positive things happen for a defense, and especially with the importance of that defensive line position. Secondly, who the defensive line coach is for the Texas Longhorns, Bo Davis. We know who Bo Davis is. We know what Bo Davis does whenever he gets these types of defensive linemen. And whenever we look at Trill Carter, one thing we need to understand, this is someone who came to Minnesota as a former three-star and burst on the scene there, was very productive for Minnesota for his previous few seasons there, and Texas fans everywhere are hoping that production can follow him to the 40 acres with the Longhorns. Because whenever you look at the defense, if they can get that middle playing at a high level, Texas fans are very excited about what this defense provides. Now, whenever I asked the biggest need, one of the positions that kept coming up was on the defensive side of the football, at that edge. And even Nino talked about maybe the secondary, trying to add some depth in there, but the edge was a position that many of you gave to me when I asked all of you what you thought your biggest needs were. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, but one thing we must also acknowledge, Having that strong interior presence can help your guys on the edge. It can help your linebackers. It can help everybody. So making sure you maintain that strong interior, that's just smart football. Remember, football is won and lost in the trenches. I know it's not the sexy position. You really want to watch where football is won and lost? Watch the trenches. Whoever wins that line of scrimmage battle, they're probably going to win the football game. 9 times out of 10. And that's why it's so good that Steve Sarkisian and this Texas staff have put such an emphasis on the trenches in both offensive and defensive recruiting. It's one of the reasons why I remain bullish on this staff and their ability to try and find long-term success, not only now, but as they move to the SEC. But I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about this edition. I think it's a really solid one. And do you think Texas will be back in the portal grabbing some more guys? Can't wait to hear from all of you. That's it. See ya.